always on the go, but the day just won't be one without your Hollywood fix. Let Golden State Media Concepts Entertainment Podcast take care of that. An all-inclusive look of pop culture.
Thank you for tuning in to the GSMC Entertainment Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Jessica, and I'll be sharing some of the top entertainment news that you just need to know. Oh my goodness, you guys, I have had such a busy few days. I am so tired. You would think that I would have slept really hard last night, but I did not. I hate it when that happens. It's almost as though I was overtired. And I didn't even do anything like that crazy. So Friday night, my husband and I just, decided we are ready to we need to go out. Restaurants around here, you can dine in. They have outdoor seating, although everything is very limited. So we went to one of our favorite restaurants. This was the second time that we have been out since March. And we went so hard. I mean, we ordered all the drinks. We ordered all of the food. We did not drive. Thank goodness for Lyft. We just had a wonderful, wonderful time. We had appetizers, entrees. We even got a second small entree as our side dishes. We had desserts. The whole nine. We had such a good time. And again, we're not going to go out again for another while. So we decided to really just treat ourselves, and I just don't recover like I used to. So Saturday and Sunday, we hung out with my family the whole time. So again, it was just I didn't really get enough sleep Friday into Saturday. And then you just have to be on all day Saturday and then on again all day on Sunday. So it was a fun weekend. I can't say that I've had a fun weekend in a very, very long time, but I'm just so exhausted. And then today I wake up and I feel like all I'm doing is playing catch up because I've just been doing stuff all weekend. And I mean, catching up on emails, applications, getting ready for a mini bachelorette for my cousin. She's getting married in a very small and intimate wedding in October. So next month. I can't believe that's happening already. So us and the girls, we're just doing a little mini bachelorette, just basically hanging out the day before the wedding. So I am making little packages for everybody. It's going to be Italian themed because she was supposed to get married in Italy this summer. So I have Italian snacks, I have water, and then I also have San Pellegrino's hand sanitizer and mask to kind of keep it topical. Some chapstick, her favorite candy from Italy. So it just, stuff to make her happy. Oh, I like Advil scrunchies, just cute little girly things. Anyway, and everything is in a cute little tote bag. So everyone has that as a souvenir. So I just feel like I've been going 1,000 miles a minute since Saturday. So this is the last thing that I have to do today is this podcast. I am recording on a Monday, and I am excited to just kind of let loose after this, just sit down, binge watch some TV, and just relax. Maybe have a cup of hot tea would be delicious. Okay, so that is my goal. But before I do any of that, I have quite the show for you today. I will be ranting a lot because I have a lot of opinions on the topics that we're going to be talking about. So I hope you are ready. We are talking some wild ex-bachelor news. We're talking TikTok and even an update on keeping up with the Kardashians. And then at the end, I am going to share a list of some of my favorite documentaries about celebrities or famous people. And so, yeah, I'm excited for the show. And with that, I believe that it is time. It is time to just jump off the diving board and dive right on in. We're going to start with some big and really disturbing news coming out of the Bachelor world. Cassie Randolph files a restraining order against ex-boyfriend Colton Underwood. This is such a problematic story, but I cannot say that I am at all surprised. So the story broke by TMZ. So they have obtained the court documents in which Cassie claims that Colton's been allegedly stalking and harassing her with these unsettling text messages. These text messages are like from a stalker. And it turns out, there's more on this later, but I have to lead with this. It turns out that it's coming from Colton, and Colton's pretending to also get the same weird text messages. It also claims that Colton went so far as to planting a tracking device taped to the bottom of the back of the bumper of her car to keep track of her whereabouts. And third, Colton has been allegedly showing up uninvited to her LA apartment and her parents' house in Huntington Beach. She claims that he takes these obsessive walks to her apartment complex and has loitered in the alley outside of her bedroom window as late as 2 a.m. Cassie, who says they broke up in mid-April, goes on to claim that some of the harassing text messages included accusing her of her hanging out with an old boyfriend. She alleges that Colton also sent anonymous text messages to her and to himself, pretending to be a victim of the anonymous stalker. Cassie claims Colton later admitted to sending the messages and planting the tracking device. Colton picked Cassie at the end of the season of The Bachelor in 2019, but the two never got engaged. The couple announced their split in May of this year, and there were rumors that the breakup had been a bad one, but it was very unclear of exactly what happened. Also, Colton has had some health issues in the past, but right before the split, he had tested positive for COVID-19, where he recovered at the home of Cassie's parents' house. There are so many things about this story that I have thoughts on, but I'm going to start with this. I never liked him. And if you've listened to other podcasts that I have done where I have the complete misfortune of talking about Colton, then this isn't news to you. But if you're new to turning in, not a fan of Colton, never have been, and at this point, never will be. There have always been something about him that I didn't like, and I'm gonna, break it down from this fan's point of view. So the relationship has always seemed to be toxic, and Colton thinks he is the smartest guy in the room. That's how he just comes across. Again, this is all my opinion. You can't convince me otherwise, but the man always wanted to be the Bachelor, which isn't a crime. Look, if I were single and in my 20s, I'd want to be on the show, and I wouldn't say no to the chance of being the lead. The problem is that Colton comes off as a manipulator, just in general. He always has come off that way, and I'm surprised it's, some people didn't see it. Some people just blindly loved him for some reason. I don't understand. But look at how, he kind of manipulated Tia to be on the show. He thought he was going on The Bachelorette, so he reaches out to her to establish a connection. And Tia was very much a frontrunner to be the Bachelorette up until Ari broke up with Becca. So he goes on the show, and surprise, it's not Tia, it's Becca. So he falls in love with Becca, which I didn't believe for a second, but whatever. To make it far, but just far enough. He gets eliminated. He then goes to Paradise, where he knows Tia will be. He says in his book, no one made any promises, but I get the feeling that if I went on Paradise, I might have a shot at becoming the Bachelor. So he forms a connection with her and realizes that if he stays with her, then he won't be the Bachelor. So boo-hoo, he breaks up with her. Now he's the lead. And then he manipulated producers to get his girls on the right dates. He said in an interview for the LA Times that producers, quote, value their TV show more than the love story that they always promote. Cry me a river, Colton. I mean, It's a TV show. You have already been in the franchise long enough to know that it's a TV show and that it needs to have good ratings in order to survive. So he becomes the Bachelor, which is just like a total shame. And being a fan of the franchise, I, of course, wasted my Monday nights and watched it. And how many women self-eliminated during his season? 4 women. Factoring in Cassie and her departure, 4 women have self-eliminated during Underwood's season. We have Elise, Sydney, Heather, and then Cassie. But oh, he's so smart and so much smarter than the producers. These girls were literally like, nah, not wasting my time. I'd rather give up Instagram followers than pretend to like this guy. Now, of course, I am totally paraphrasing, but whatever. So when Cassie decided to bounce, he stormed off like a child, which gave us the fence jump that the show teased all season because it was the only interesting thing to happen because Colton's such a drag. So, like, Cassie didn't like Colton. She kept saying no. She was so unsure. She didn't want to pursue him. And she kept, he kept running after her, like, give me a chance. Everything away from the cameras. Give me a chance. And she was still just so unsure. And he basically asked her so many times that she just said yes to basically shut him up. Or at least that's what it looked like. She was basically ambushed into a relationship. So how is that a base for a healthy relationship? It's not. It's not. So then they break up, which was inevitable based on how the relationship started. And I'm surprised it lasted as long as it did, but who knows? Maybe she was afraid to leave him. So they break up, and he has the nerve to say about the franchise and to say about like Chris Harrison. Okay, before I say this quote, so Cassie was on an episode of like the greatest seasons ever. And apparently like Cassie and Colton had an agreement that Cassie wasn't going to say anything about their relationship. Like, again, they wanted to keep it private. So Colton has the nerve after that interview to say, I was more frustrated for her because she got completely taken advantage of and completely manipulated. You have Chris Harrison pointing fingers saying, I sense you don't want to make Colton mad or you're afraid you're going to upset Colton. It's like, no, Chris, I literally talked to her the morning of the interview. We're good. Stop worrying about me or painting me to be this controlling or angry person. I'm not angry. If there's anybody I'm upset about or upset with, it's you guys. Well, that quote didn't age very well, Colton, now did it? Look at where we are now, Colton. Look at where we are. You don't want to have anything to do with the franchise. And I'm guessing at this point, the franchise doesn't want to have anything to do with you. This is so problematic. The tracking device on the car, it's so beyond insane and creepy. And the fact that he sent himself stalker text to hide that it was him behind the stalker, it's stage 5 clinger for sure. I am just here to say justice for Cassie. I hope she goes on Paradise and I hope she gets the most beautiful edit that she deserves. She's a beachy, like surfer girl. She doesn't need any makeup. She would absolutely thrive in Paradise. And who knows, maybe she can be our bachelorette one day. Who knows? Anything is possible. I just hope to never see Colton on my screen again. I hope that people like Jason, who is also on Becca's season, who's now dating Caitlin Bristow, he's like openly friends with Colton. I hope to see him distance himself from this man. Like, I don't want to see Colton on my TV anymore. I don't want to see him on my phone. Just go away and please get some help. These stalker vibes are never a good look. I'm just so over it. The whole story grosses me out. I feel really bad for Cassie and everything that she's going through. And as I'm recording this, by the way, I just got like an alert. Cassie's sister, Michelle, has released like a kind of sort of statement on Instagram. She looks like she screenshotted a story and wrote false, false, false. And it looks like Colton is trying to like smear Cassie's reputation. And it's just, It's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. All of this behavior is disgusting. I am disgusted, and I'm really hoping that this is the end of Colton Underwood. It's like everyone was trying to like shove this idea down my throat that Colton's a good guy. Colton's just the best guy. No, he's not. No, he's not. He like clearly is like gaslighting everyone by saying like, oh, the franchise is a manipulator, the franchise this and the franchise that. And Chris Harrison's trying to like make it out to be I'm angry. Well, maybe it's because you are. And maybe it's because they know you are. Colton, where there's smoke, there's fire. And sorry, maybe you are that way. Sorry, look in a mirror. Anyway, so that is that on The Bachelor. I hope everything turns out okay for Cassie. I need to take a break. We need to take a break. When we come back, I have some TikTok news that I look forward to sharing and also some streaming news. And at the end of this episode, I'm going to list some of my favorite documentaries based on celebrities. Guys, stay tuned. We will be right back.
Want to find out what movies to go see? Then check out the GSMC Movie Podcast. It's your ticket to the latest movies, whether it's a new blockbuster event, romantic, comedy, or action flick. This show has got it all covered. They talk some what to go see now. Don't bother. What's hot on Netflix and everything in between. That's gsmcpodcast.com/movie-podcast. When it's all about the movies, it has to be this new show. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit gsmcpodcast.com for more info.
And we are back, my friends. Isn't that some absolutely wild and insane news about Colton Underwood? Like, I can't believe that I got the opportunity to report on that. Like, that is kind of my dream. That is how much I didn't like him. I knew there was something wrong, and I just didn't, don't like it. Anyway, I've said it once and I will say it again. Justice for Cassie. I cannot wait to see how this will all unfold. And it just, the story is brand new. So who knows what's going to happen this week, but I'm excited to find out. Anyway, I think it's time to move on to the next story. One of the biggest news to come out the start of the week, again, it's Monday. This just broke today. TikTok is making the corporate technology company Oracle its business partner in the United States. As I am recording this, there's still a lot of unknowns about the agreement. A source familiar with the matter told CNN Business that the partnership was meant to satisfy the Trump administration's national security concerns about TikTok. Trump has demanded the app to be sold or else shut down in the United States. The exact nature of the agreement between TikTok and Oracle remains unclear, but it is not described as an outright sale. The news about Oracle came just after Microsoft announced that it will not buy TikTok's U.S. operations from ByteDance. But California-based Oracle is a notable partner given co-founder Larry Ellison's ties to the Trump administration. He's one of the few Silicon Valley tech moguls to back Trump. The billionaire hosted a campaign fundraiser for Trump in February and in April joined a White House advisory group working to revive America's economy. The U.S. president has already indicated he would support a deal between Oracle and TikTok. According to CNN, the Trump administration alleges that TikTok possesses a national security concern because it gathers vast swaths of data from American users, which could be accessed by the Chinese Communist Party. TikTok has denied those allegations. The company has said its data centers are located outside of China and that none of that data is subject to Chinese law. Reporting suggests that Oracle won't be able to buy TikTok outright, but given its expertise in data and cloud security, it could become the U.S. host of TikTok data. So you can read into that whatever you will. Basically, the government can't just ban the app without major pushback and repercussions. That would be like the most insane form of censorship. But again, it doesn't look like Oracle is buying it outright, but just holding the cloud storage. But like I said, take that information what you will and come to your own conclusions about how you feel about that purchase. But speaking of TikTok news, there is more. TikTok star and new BFF to Kourtney Kardashian, Addison Rae, gets cast in a She's All That remake. According to Variety, the gender-swapped reboot titled He's All That has been in the works for years and recently started to gain traction again. Mark Waters, the filmmaker behind Mean Girls and Freaky Friday, is set to direct. The film will reimagine the plot from the teenage girl's perspective, with Addison Rae taking on a role inspired by Freddie Prinze Jr.'s character, Zachary Siller, from the original She's All That. A modern-day take on George Bernard Shaw's Pygmalion and 1964 movie My Fair Lady centered a popular high school jock who, after getting dumped by his girlfriend, attempts to transform one of the school's nerdy outcasts into the next prom queen. He's All That puts a 21st century spin on the original, with the remake following an influencer who attempts to turn a nerdy boy into prom king. R. Lee Fleming, who wrote the 1999 movie, will pen the remake. Fleming is reuniting with She's All That producers Jennifer Gibgo and Andrew Panay, who worked together on the film's development more than 20 years ago. And Miramax, the studio that released the original movie, will produce the upcoming version as well. Quote, "This reboot is a welcome step towards the new generation Miramax storytelling, part of our greater strategy to leverage our existing library with fresh, reimagined content in both film and TV," said Miramax CEO Bill Block. Addison Rae has 60 million followers on TikTok, making her the second most followed person in the social media platform. After her popularity on the app skyrocketed, the 19-year-old moved to Los Angeles and signed with talent agency WME. A recent Forbes report estimating that Addison Rae is the highest paid TikToker, amassing $5 million from last year from various endorsement deals. The casting makes Addison Rae one of the first TikTok stars to act in a major studio film. Now, I have several thoughts about this. There's a lot of strength behind this movie, and there's a lot of big players behind this film. Again, and a lot of it is tied to the original She's All That, which was a hit. It wasn't one of my favorite movies, but I cannot deny it was a hit when it was released back in 1999. Can't believe it's been that long. Anyway, but I'm just here to ask, who asked for this movie? A gender-swapped She's All That? Hollywood has a tendency to be lazy lately, and this is just another prime example. I want to go back to the quote from Bill Block. This reboot is a welcome step towards a new generation of Miramax storytelling, part of our greater strategy to leverage our existing library with fresh, reimagined content. That, no one asked for this remake. No one asked for the reboot. But if someone did, please tell me. Who was clamoring for this to happen? Oh my goodness, I don't understand. I think that it is an interesting tactic to actually cast an influencer rather than an actress. So it's almost like if the movie flops, which unfortunately I think that it will, the studio can blame Addison Rae. But if it's a success, they can all congratulate themselves and give themselves pats on the backs for being oh so brave. I do think it's weird that they've given this role to someone who has never acted before and has zero credentials. So it takes away from an actress who's literally been waiting and working their entire life. But then on the other hand, like, it's good for Addison to be like capitalizing on her luck, because TikTok is essentially just luck. I do not believe for 1 second that she strategized her early videos that made her famous. I mean, and I hate to say it's like mediocre dancing, for 30 seconds. Like, but that made her famous, and good for her for trying to figure out how to make the most of it. She is making smart moves for her career. There is no doubt about that. And she's also buddied up next to Kourtney Kardashian. So, like, good on her. I would have picked a more fun sister like Khloe to be BFFs with, honestly, but whatever. But seriously, what do Kourtney and Addison actually talk about? Like, Kourtney is 41 years old. She has 3 kids under 10. Addison is 19. So, like, I can see them talking, say, like, Kourtney is giving her some advice on how to navigate fame or what business ventures to take. But that's something you can easily do, say, over lunch or a phone call, FaceTime, whatever. But they're so oddly glued at the hip. I'm literally so confused. Are her kids obsessed with Addison? Is Kourtney paying Addison like a babysitter? What are their conversations like? Is Addison going to have some sort of creative control with Poosh? Is she going to develop a Poosh line of product? I honestly have no clue what's happening, but I'm not going to lie. It's kind of weird to me. Like, I pictured if you're a young influencer and you're going to hang out with anyone in the Kardashian-Jenner clan, I would assume because of age, it would have been Kylie. They're closer in age and they can do like influencer-y things together. So why Kourtney? The one who doesn't like being famous. Like, why the two of them? This is literally the biggest mystery. And it's something that I am ashamed to say I can't stop thinking about. It actually lives rent-free inside of my mind. It's embarrassing, but whatever. It's just good for Addison getting in the movie business. Who knows? Maybe she's a fantastic actress. This could do incredible things for her career. And if it flops, then who cares? She's just going to go off and do the next best thing. And at least she's getting paid. And at the end of the day, I guess that's all that actually matters. So anyway, I can't really harp on that much longer. A lot of TikTok news. I'm not really the generation that, TikTok kind of gears to. I am the millennial on TikTok that is just like looking at all the Gen Zers going, what? This is like impressive. But I can't do any of those dance challenges or whatever. I like all the home reno stuff though. Home reno I enjoy on TikTok, and I enjoy the cooking side of TikTok. I'm very excited for the Christmas side of TikTok. So I love getting lost in it. So, and none of her content has showed up on my For You page. And Charlie, none of her stuff ever pops up on my For You page. Probably because I'm not a Gen Zer. Anyway, I have to stop on TikTok, but whatever. I can't harp on this any longer. We must move forward. Up next, I have some streaming news. And then after that, I'm going to share some of my favorite documentaries that are about celebrities. So stay tuned. You will not want to miss it. We will be right back.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Welcome back, my friends. This has been quite the fun ranting episode. I have ranted about Colton. I have ranted about TikTok. And now it's time for the next topic about streaming. I have to follow up on my latest episode, or should I say I must keep up. The Kardashians could ink a streaming deal with Netflix, Apple, or Amazon soon. Just because the Kardashians have axed their reality TV show, it doesn't mean that they will be off of our TV screens for good. So sorry for anyone who wastes their energy on hating on the Kardashians just to hate. According to Page 6, insiders expect that the family to have a big streaming deal within a year. And a source close to the family said that they are even mulling starting their own media company. So as reported by E! This past week, after 20 seasons of Keeping Up with the Kardashians, it is finally time to come to an end, in part because the network couldn't keep up with their ever-increasing salary demands. Now we're told that they're interested in signing a more lucrative streaming deal with one of the online giants such as Netflix, Apple, or Amazon. E! had paid the family $150 million the last time they renewed their contract back in 2017. But with fellow TV titans such as Ryan Murphy and J.J. Abrams signing streaming deals worth a reported $300 million, they could find much bigger paydays online. The source, who said they're considering starting their own media company, wouldn't offer details as to what it might look like, but said it wouldn't be a streaming platform to compete with the others. So I have my thoughts on that too, coming right up. So either way, it's clear that the family is using its exit from the network TV as an opportunity to seriously overhaul its whole media strategy. So even if they start their own media company, it can still kind of be more of a production company. And that would give them so much power and control. And that's something that they're used to for having being on E!, especially for as long as they were. So wherever they go, their audience will undoubtedly follow. Like I said, when I reported on the Kardashians ending their show, even though the ratings weren't that great, people aren't sitting down to watch TV at scheduled times like they used to, especially the audience that likes Keeping Up with the Kardashians. So going to the streaming wars is definitely the smart and more lucrative thing to do. People will follow and watch, and they'll do it on their own terms. And it's like kind of how people signed up for HBO Max because Friends and The Office are on there. The same thing is going to happen to the Kardashians wherever they land. Selfishly, I hope that they land with Netflix. But I will also sign up for wherever they do go. But, I'm pretty sure I have most of the streaming. Oh, I think I do. I don't have any of the HBO ones, though. I don't, because it's too confusing. So I don't have HBO. But I have Hulu, Netflix, Disney Plus, Prime. Yeah, have all that. Anyway, so the concept of them starting their own media company, I don't think it would be in their best interest to start something so time-consuming, such as a full-blown media company. I mean, Courtney would have to work, but a production company where the sisters can all kind of follow their passions and have a show about what they really love, I think would be really interesting. I would love to see, for example, a show around Kim Kardashian and her businesses and studying to become a lawyer and raising a family. I don't need to see so much of the family dinners or what being married to Kanye is like. I'm telling you, I have zero interest in her relationship with Kanye West, but I would love to see her in just boss mode all of the time. How does one start a business like hers? How can she would be able to teach her fan base so much. I would love to see her in a meeting for KKW Beauty or KKW Fragrance, or I would love to see behind the scenes of her starting up a home goods brand. I think fans would really flock to that kind of content, and it would be nice to see a different side. It's not all glamour. There is a lot of work to being successful. I also would love to see a show about Khloe. Again, she is my favorite of the Kardashians. I would love to see more of her and The Home Edit. I think I mentioned last time I binge watched the Home Edit series the other day when it came out. I think it was like over the weekend. I woke up early. I watched all of it. I don't know how it happened, but it did. And I love the episode with Khloe in it. And I would love to see more of it. I love the energy and I just love Khloe. And yeah, so I would love to see something like that. Maybe some behind the scenes of Good American even. Kourtney, if she wanted to, she can do something with interior design. At the end of the day, I'm more interested to see the business side of the sisters rather than the flashy side. We've gotten years of flashy. Obviously, they're never going to be trashy when they're doing their business, but I just think it would be more interesting at this point. So if they had their own production company, they have the power over their content and they can kind of show whatever they wanted. But this goes on to prove that they are such incredibly smart women who for some reason do not get the recognition that they deserve. The haters are still stuck in this whole famous for being famous aspect of the career that was just so 14 years ago. How can you look at what they have done and still say that they have zero talent? Like, oh, I'm sorry. Where is your makeup brand in Ulta? You don't have a denim brand in Nordstrom? Like, why do people feel the need to just hate on them? The people who hate on them generally work for someone else and not for themselves. And so take a seat in your cubicle and keep your opinions about these women to yourself. Bye. I really can't with some of these people. Like, why does a woman, like, what does a woman have to do to earn your respect? And that's like a serious question. Usually the haters, when it comes to the Kardashians, will bring up the sex tape. That's always the first thing. It's like, oh, Kim and the sex tape. Okay, and that was literally over 14 years ago. What else? Oh, well, Kylie wouldn't be where she is without her family. I'm like, oh, okay. So she should have not started an empire because my family and I have all this fame. I can't do anything with it. You know, I just can't do it. Like, no, what did you want her to do? Just sit on the couch and do nothing for the rest of her life because of her famous family? She got up and she did something. She's like, there's a market and I'm going to capitalize on it. And that's what she did. Why are you mad? Like, they're not, like I said, they're not just sitting around their house just eating grapes off of a vine. They work. They make business decisions. Go watch the first episode of Keeping Up with the Kardashians and go look at them then in that very first episode, and then go look at them today and come back and you tell me that they have zero skill. And then I want you to then follow that up by telling me what it is that you do. Like, what do you do? And it's got to be more. It has to be more than everything that they do combined in order for me to take you seriously or to be mildly impressed. I'll just sit here and wait. You can go on to Instagram and find me at GSMC_entertainment and tell me. But until then, keep your mouth shut. So anyway, good for them for going to streaming. I am sure they will get signed for a lot of money. If Harry and Meghan can get a deal, there is no doubt the Kardashians will as well. And for a lot more. My guess is $50 million. I think they're going to land a deal for 50. Unless it's like they want to keep it under wraps. But that means if they keep it under wraps, it is an insane amount of money. If it's published, I would believe it. Not published, it's a number that I can't even imagine. So that was like rants on rants for today, people. I mean, I ranted about Colton. I ranted about TikTok. I ranted about the Kardashians, and they deserve the respect, but people just like to hate just to hate. But you know what? If you want to live your life hating, then that's on you. Anyway, whew. So now it's time to calm down. We are going to take a short break. And when we come back, I'm going to share with you some of my favorite documentaries about celebrities. You're not going to want to miss it. It's kind of fun, and I hope you enjoy it. Be right back.
Golden State Media Concepts bring you Book Review Podcast, a haven for bookworms of all ages and the widest genres, from mystery to memoirs, romance to comedy, fantasy to sci-fi. If you love to read, this is the podcast for you. It's the Golden State Media Concepts Book Review Podcast.
And welcome back to my favorite segment of the show, where I list some of my favorite things. Again, this segment does need a title. I need to think of something catchy, but I can't really, I don't know. I'm not really good at this type of thing. Oh, goodness. Like, Jessica's favorite things is, Oprah did it, and I can't top Oprah. And I'm sorry, but I'm not giving you anything. I'm just telling you things. So I don't know. I have to think of something fun. But if you have any thoughts or ideas, please send them to me through a Instagram message at GSMC_entertainment. I am open to all of the ideas. So anyway, so a few episodes ago, I think it was the Duke and Duchess of Netflix, I talked about my love for I Love Lucy. And since then, I have been doing a lot of digging and research, and there's so much out there on Lucille Ball that I'm so fascinated by. I mean, there's so much that I knew because she's such a cultural icon, but it's interesting, in this day and age where everything is literally at your fingertips, to really do a deep dive. But with that, I also did a deep dive on Desi Arnaz, and I am so fascinated. I think when people talk about I Love Lucy, Lucy definitely overshadows Desi, and for good reason. I mean, she's groundbreaking, but Desi also has such an interesting story, such an interesting life, and I would love to see a well-made documentary about him. I read that Amy Poehler will be directing a documentary called Lucy and Desi. That's the working title, at least. And it is about the personal and professional partnership between the two. And I am sure that with Amy being a female comedian, it will largely focus on the groundbreaking comedian that is Lucy, who really changed the landscape and the possibilities for what's funny and ambitious women, what they could achieve in Hollywood. And she deserves, like I said, all the accolades that she gets. But Desi, aside from Lucy, had a very interesting life as well. And I would love to see that told one day. Maybe he did a lot of things wrong in his personal life, but for him, if you just read about him coming where he was in Cuba and then coming to America and not speaking English and having the career that he had and all of the firsts that they did for I Love Lucy and all the creative decisions that they made together while shooting the show is just really ahead of its time. And I think that is why the show is so timeless today and why it's still funny and why it still kind of works. So, and it is because of Lucy and Desi and their partnership and their life experiences and the decisions that they made together. But like I said, Lucy was just so groundbreaking at the time that, of course, she gets all of the credit that she undoubtedly deserves. And Desi does still have a very interesting story. So if anyone wants to hit me up, we can do a documentary on Desi together. So that alone is why I am sharing some of my favorite documentaries about celebrities. I love stories. I just love a good story, and documentaries used to be something that was so boring to me, and now I find them fascinating, and I love watching documentaries. And I wanted to share some of my favorite docuseries and documentaries, but I kept this list celebrity themed because of, the nature of the show. I wanted it to have famous people in it. So this is no particular order. I just kind of threw them on paper. So number 1 is Miss Americana with Taylor Swift. I love how this showed another side to Taylor other than just her music. I love that she took a political stance. I really enjoyed her story and what it means to be a woman in the music industry. She really shed light on it in a way that was very, very classy and just very Taylor. And it was all with a sharp knife, but it just really spoke to me. It was just so good. And you can listen to quotes from that documentary over and over again. If you have not seen it, I highly suggest that you do. I mean, she talks about how many times a female singer would have to, or a female artist has to reinvent themselves in order to stay relevant where men don't. And that is just so true. Just look at, and she says, she's like, look at all of your favorite female artists. How many times have they had to reinvent themselves for every album? And that is exactly what Taylor does. Look at all of the albums that she has. They're all different and they all are evolving. So it's a really good behind the scenes. They do a really, really good job. So really loved Miss Americana. Next is 5'2" with Lady Gaga. So this also is, women in entertainment. So it goes behind the scenes of her Super Bowl halftime performance. And I love in the beginning, there's just like this quick little, Bradley Cooper's calling because he wants me to be in this little movie of his. And it's just amazing to see that moment. Like I think of when she's walking down the stairs and she's talking about this movie with Bradley Cooper. If she had no idea at that moment what that film was going to do for her career and all the positive things that came out of it and the Oscar performance, and it's just cemented culturally, like she's part of that forever. And did she know that when she was filming this documentary? Probably not. So that was exciting. Another thing that I really, why did I say exciting? I just said it. It's not exciting. It's interesting. There we go. It's interesting. Another thing that I found very interesting, and this is probably because I was a theater major for a little bit and I worked as a stage manager. And one thing that she talks about, and this is something that a lot of people can kind of skip past, but I'm glad it made the documentary, is she's talking about her costumes for the Super Bowl halftime performance. And she has to get a jacket on very quickly. I believe the jacket on. And she talks about the fabric inside the jacket, and it has to be like a silk because she has to be able to do it quickly, where if it's any other type of fabric, her hands can get caught, it gets stuck. And this is kind of like how swimmers have to like shave all of their body hair. She has to have a fabric that allows her to, in a fraction of a second, throw this coat on. And that was a really cool costuming, fun thing to see. Like these are all of the things that go on behind the scenes that the average viewer doesn't think about. So I really enjoyed how they highlighted that, and that little segment made its way into the documentary. The next one is Killer Inside, the Mind of Aaron Hernandez. It's a truly sad docu-series about the convicted murderer and the former professional football player Aaron Hernandez. I remember when all of this was happening, it really captured the nation. I mean, everyone was so surprised. The fact that he was on like the Super Bowl winning team, just crazy. The whole thing. He was on Patriots. Like it was wild. It was a wild story. I think it's very interesting how they talk about the whole concussion factor and the helmets and how that affects the brain. And there's like a lot of science to it. And it's more than just the murders, really. So it's very good. It's very sad. I hate to put like a spotlight on it because, I don't want to like glorify murderers, but it's really interesting. Again, I really like the science behind it. So with that, we're going to get the next one out of the way because it's also about a murderer. It's OJ Made in America. Anything about the OJ Simpson case will just absolutely capture my attention. I love all of it. I cannot get enough. I remember watching the police chase as a child. It's probably why it happened at such a young age. And I'm just like, I remember we were driving to upstate New York to visit my grandparents, and we heard it on the radio, and then like we went in the house and we watched it on the TV. It was just wild. And so it just like cemented into my head. So now as I get older and as an adult, I love learning more about the case. And because I couldn't really understand it fully because I was too young. So now as an adult, I just like to really take in all of the information I can. It's just absolutely fascinating, no matter what you think. But, you know, I have my opinions, and I'm sure you do too. And to keep it a little lighter for the last one, it is Fire, the Greatest Party That Never Happened. I love any documentary about the Fyre Fest. It's on this list because celebrities were involved, and they sadly attached their names to this absolute nonsense, especially Ja Rule, but like people like Bella Hadid and Kendall Jenner all contributed to the hype of the Fyre Festival, and it never happened, and it was a disaster. If you go watch a documentary about it, it is insane. I can't believe all of the hype around it, and that just goes to show you can't believe everything you see on Instagram. All this, ooh la la, ooh this, all that. It's all fake. It's all fake. And the Fyre Festival, like that, the influencers that needed tickets and what they did to get them, and they get there and they're stranded and there's nowhere to stay, and it's just a disaster. And it was just such a little blip. Why don't we talk about it more? It's insane. It's absolutely insane what happened with Fyre Fest, or what didn't happen, I should say. So those are kind of like my favorite celebrity, documentaries. I am going to watch tonight the Paris Hilton one on YouTube. That came out today, so I'm very excited. I saw like little clips of it on Instagram. I'm very excited about it. I will probably recap it in the next episode. But again, all of this is just inspired for my love for I Love Lucy. And I'm probably going to watch that again too. Like I said, now that the podcast is done, I am done recording. I am going to really unwind. So I'm going to watch Paris. I'm going to watch Lucy. I'm going to have my tea. Guys, I'm so excited. But that was the show today. My ranting is over. So until next time, thank you for listening to the GSMC Entertainment Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I would like to ask you to please remember to subscribe to the show and write a beautiful, glowing review that really helps us out. Also, if you could please follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, I would really appreciate it. There we can talk. I will share some more content. So until then, guys, thank you so much. I will catch you the next episode. Have a wonderful night. Bye-bye.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Entertainment Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. From movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.